welcome back to Copperhead Customs. Today we are continuing on with our 1948 Bedford $2,000 budget Hot Wheels Legends Tour build. This is an episode you probably don't want to miss. So stick around and see what we get up to. So before we get started, a quick recap if you're new. This, as I said, is a 1948 Bedford. And when we purchased it, it had been sitting on a farm in the middle of New South Wales for many, many years. It had no wheels, no tyres, no suspension, and it was just sitting out there on the top of a rock plateau. And the farmers' kids had used it for target practice. Now the first thing we did was give it a haircut by chopping 6 inches out of the roof. We then removed it from its original chassis and sold that, and we mounted it to this one, which is a 1983 WB Holden panel van chassis. But we wanted it short and stubby, hence its name, Stubby Ben, so we chopped 2 foot out of the middle, 8 inches off the back, and 8 inches off the front. Back to the front! We then used an old pallet to do all this beautiful woodwork on the tray and running boards, and we burnt in our logo. How good does all this look? How good our God has been to us. We bought these taillights. They were the cheapest we could find, and we Frenched them into this, one of the original pieces of wood. We picked up these stainless steel truck guards for free, and then we purchased these matching miniature West Coast truck mirrors. On the body we painted it with clear coat, but doing it different by adding 3 different pearlescent paints. And the end result means it changes colour out in the sun from purple to gold to green. Us being different, we painted the rims gold and put these monster Torque Twister 2 tyres on the back and little skinnies on the front.
Smells like a Viking.
We carved snake heads into the running boards, and in the interior we used office chairs for seats, an old bamboo fence, advertisement signs, and an old shovel. So as you can see, this old 1948 Bedford has come a long way in the last couple of months since we started it. In the last episode, we fully rebuilt all the front suspension and lowered it, and it looks pretty cool. And hey, don't forget these headlights made from dog dishes. So there's a quick recap of where the Bedford has come from. And today though, we have so much stuff to cover that I'm not going to say what we're doing. Let's just get into doing it. Woohoo! So I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to jack the front up and the back and get it up, all 4 wheels off the ground, and put it on stands. Okay, first things first, we just had some parts arrive, so let's see what we actually have in here. Now one thing I didn't mention though is that we are building this for $2,000 Australian, and then hopefully we pull that off. We're going to be very tight, but later on in this episode I will release what the budget, where we're at with our budget. Now, one thing we're going to do when we do finish the build though is next year's Hot Wheels Legends Tour, we are going to enter this in with the little surprise we have in the shed. If you've been watching, know what it is, and if you're new, I'll show you later, but it will mount on the back of this tray, and hopefully that may be the edge that gives us some success in that competition. So anyway, let's see what we have here. I'd say this is our new brake lines for the front. What it looks like to me, some copper gaskets, and there is our 2 new flexi lines for our brake pads, for our brake calipers. Sorry, if I can get them out. So yes, there's our 2 new brake lines for the front. So that's a job we'll do later. As you can see here, this is all our brake line. Now I just bought the stainless one on this. We've got 2 packs, and these will be metric fittings, so they're probably no use to us on this build, but we bought 2 packs of that. I'd say 1 will probably do it, but if not, we bought 2. I normally buy the copper outer stainless inner, but this one I bought that. And now this is something else I've purchased. This, as you can see, is a battery jumper, and this is only clue you're going to get to what I'm thinking about doing with the battery. So we've got the car jacked up. Let's start doing some odd jobs. Okay, so as you can see, the humidity is pretty extreme today, as usual at this time of year in sunny Queensland. That is not so sunny today, but still very humid. But that's beside the point. I just wanted to show you our headlights that we did using dog dishes, but looking at the lenses. So the lenses have the skull inside them, and that is a present from the boss. So we will continue with that theme throughout this build by throwing some skulls here and there in it. What we do have is these I pulled out of the cupboard inside, these couple of little skull ornaments, and this, I think they were off of one of the boss's handbags back in the day. So we will endeavour to use them somewhere in the build, but I actually bought a couple of other little things, just little subtle things. We're not going to go stupid and make it look silly, but we bought these little skull valve caps. And if we come to the inside and I show you what I made for our inside window winders, even though we don't have windows, we've still got the winders for later on. So I did these little clear plastic crystal looking handles on our windscreen winders, and what I've purchased is these little skull handles that I'm going to use in there. So we're going to put them on. Now these were the mirrors that I purchased off of a motorbike, but we decided that the car suited the truck mirrors better. But I'm going to speak to my roadworthy guy about the rulings of maybe having one or two of these in the centre as our rear vision mirror. Otherwise, we'll just stick them in the cupboard for something else. Our first job is going to be probably the easiest thing we do, and let's put these little valve caps on just to break into the work easily. Okay, so with these, there is in the center here a little tiny slot, and if you push on there, inside there's a little clip, and you can release the winder. They're actually not a bad setup, but I think I may need two hands to do it. So yes, if you just see there, you stick this rod in here, and if I can do this one-handed, you push on that, can't get it one-handed, you push on that little rod there. Let's try it this way. You should push on that and see the little release comes in. So they're actually, for 1940s, a pretty cool design. Now remembering, if you didn't know, Bedford is a GM product. So Bedford was British, of course, but it is a General Motors product. They went away from them and went to those silly ones with those that you need that special tool for. I actually think these are a lot better product. So anyway, I'll get the other one off, then we'll come back and we'll change around those handles. Oakley dokley. So we just had I just put the little handle on the handle, the glass skull on the handle, and I didn't really like the look of it with the handle being old and ratty looking. So what we did is I've painted this brown because I'll show you inside, but the parts inside of the cab, if we look, we've got the gear lever, which is brown, and if I quickly drag you around the other side. Welcome to the Moulin Rule, where drag rules as king. And you look at what we did for the little center console leather boot. We painted the outside in browns as well. So I think this may look better. The choices with this or to paint it chrome, and you know, we're not into shiny. So what we've done is we painted it in Indian red, it's called. This is what the first colour, I'm trying to get it in the light and get it close so you can spot it. And then, while still wet, we've painted it with Mission Brown. Now hopefully you can see it's coming through or not. That it actually has like, it's nearly run. Like the two colours blend in. Hopefully it's picking, it's not really picking it up, but the brown has kind of blended into the red, and it's a little bit like streaked nearly, which looks a little bit like rust. It's not really showing it up 100%, but trust me, it does it. So I think that will look nicer with the handle. Now what it was the handle has this nice shiny chrome bit, and running off of that dull grey just didn't look good at all. So yeah, I've quickly painted them. We're gonna have to let them dry before we can finish this job. I just got to cut the screw on this one because the screws are too long. Then that really hard job's done basically, and we will jump on to the next one. Okay, next job is done. Hopefully you can see. Oh, look at that. Yes, so there are our little indicators. So this is what I've picked, little tiny ones, and what we've done is we just got a little flat washer on the bottom. We painted it brown to hide it so you can hardly tell, and just a nice little neat washer sitting on the guard, and that is similar to what it would have had. So here is, I'm not sure exactly what this one is off, but there is an original indicator on that set of guards. So very similar looking, and we got them from China.
China. I love them. China. 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 I have to have my China. China. China because China. 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 China now. China. China. You know, China. I know China very well. China. 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 China.
Yes, that's right. We got them from China, and I think they were $6 or $7 or something for the set. So you can't go wrong with that. They're not LEDs, these ones are just normals, but they round. I think it kind of works, and it's what it would have come out with. So there is our front indicators now. Up in the guards in here, there's some little clips for the wires to run to get them to the inside, and we'll wire them in later on. But they're in and mounted. So there's another job off the list. So now we've got our rear lights, our indicators and our headlights. All we need is a number plate light now. That's all we need in that department.
That's not my department.
So now let's get on to the next one. Okay, we've got more now. We're kicking goals, aren't we? All very easy stuff. So there's the little handles. You can see our little crystal looking skulls, and as you can see the little chrome bit back, I think it blends in better with the brownie coloured rusty looking fake rust handle. So there's just something, just little, these will just be the little tiny things that people generally won't notice unless they really start looking over the car. Then they'll see some of these little tiny pieces here and there around that, such as the little snake head here, and they'll just see these little tiny hidden things. I don't know what the word is, I can't think of the word, but just that will make it look a little bit flashier. So yeah, we've done them there. Now we've got to get through, and as you can see, some of our door cards are lifting a bit. We never got the edges very good, so we've got to come through. I'm thinking of using like super glue to just get all these edges in and on all of them, because I think that will be the easiest way to get them to stick quickly. It's just little dabs of super glue here, there and everywhere. We then may throw some like craft glue in after we got them to tack up. But if you can see down the bottom in this little section here, as you can see, that looks a little bit, the camera's not really picking it up, but it looks, it's a bit more of a creamier, see it's a bit dirty colour there, not crisp white. You can see it on here. So on that is where I used a bit of the varnish that we use on the tray. So I think when we finish it all, get all these edges nice, I may run over it all with the varnish, even though it's had some clear coat on it, and they're very, you know, you can hear it that they're solid, but it will just give it that little aged look a little bit, which may be pretty trick. So anyway, on to the next one. Oakley dokley, the next day here, and we're on to our next bit of work. Haha! So what we've got here is, I'm pretty sure from memory, these rear shackles, yes, were, I think the insides of the bolts were all rusted and pitted from memory. I'm pretty sure the old owner said that they were no good. I can't quite remember why, but there's a reason I bought them. I'm not sure how much they were, $40 or something, I think I got them for. So what we've got to do is, as you can see, they're just two nuts. This plate comes off and then this whole assembly will knock out or pull out, or I've never done one personally. So we'll climb underneath, undo the two nuts, and we'll see if we can get these quickly swapped out. Okay, there is the shackles done. Simple enough. Giving them a bit of a clout, they come off. Putting them on, I found you put a bit of grease in the inside so it slides through the rubber bushing a bit better. Use a G-clamp to with the plate to squash them all together and get them on, get the nut started. Simples. What we're going to do now is we're quickly going to undo our radiator and thermofan and have a look at it. See if we can get our head around what we are going to make for this. Okie dokie, so there it is. Not bad. This was not very dear at all. Under $200 I think it was for the whole thing. I think it was like 170, or I'd have to check exactly, but for the thermofan and the radiator, so you know, not a bad little price. And this should fit inside that nose cone pretty well hidden, hopefully. And with these little tabs here that we've got, we should be able to basically, either they will measure perfectly, or we just have a little bracket that bolts from this to that nose cone, like a little bit of RHS or something. So they should theoretically work a treat. We could even bolt this down to the bottom, but I'd probably like to keep that off the bottom, and we'll just side mount it, is what I am thinking. So radiator cap comes with everything, you see, and we got our two fittings. So I don't know, I didn't actually check to see if they're the right size, but they look pretty similar. Now this is set up for, supposedly this was for a Chevy into a 32 Ford. Hopefully this works, and if this does work, I think what we may do is, in our other Bedford, I think we may get another one without the thermofan, which would be even cheaper, and put it in that other one, because that other one has the original radiator, and it just seems to overheat, or not. It just, I don't know, I don't trust it to go on a big drive with that radiator. We could get that radiator redone, but it probably costs more than buying one of these. So if this does okay in this, I think we'll get one for that. And I think what we may do is we may do a little makeover on that Bedford. I think I've had a gutful today though. Haven't done a lot. I've just been doing a lot of the behind the scenes thinking, designing type stuff today. And I think we'll leave this for the morning. Don't really feel like fabricating. So in the morning we'll get into fabricating this up, and we've still got other jobs. We've also got our exhaust. One thing I did do is, this be pretty hard to see, but these have little tiny pieces of metal welded on all the flanges. So these are bolted on with like a weird little washer. There's the little washer types. So one jumps on to the manifold and one jumps on to the extractors, and I noticed that it had those little tabs welded on it. I measured them up and they are perfectly right size. So all we've got to do with our extractors is cut a flange off, weld a flange onto them, level of course, paint them up, and they can't be bolted on. We've ordered a gasket, should be here hopefully Monday. We've got a few parts we're waiting on, hopefully rock up on Monday. Oakley dokley, so we've taken the nose cone grill shell off and we've sat our little baby radiator in there. As you can see, it is quite small. Now if we mount it down here at the bottom, the thermofan hits the pulley. So our choices would be to cut the inner structure out to get it down lower, but I don't really like that idea. Now if we raise the radiator up approximately 100 mil off the base, which kind of puts it more centered inside there, it gives us a gap at the top and the same sort of gap at the bottom. That then makes the pulley about here, and everything clears. So I think that's where we're going to do it. Now what I'm thinking is, as you can see these tabs on the radiator, thinking if we cut this piece to blend into that bracket, we'll weld this onto that bracket, and we'll weld it up the top here, up there, onto this reinforcement bracket. We'll probably put a little straight leg going up to get some more weld up in here as well, and then we'll just bolt it straight through in the 4 spots. I think that would be pretty good. And in doing this as well, we could probably also run a piece from there to there, which could in turn be bolted as well, maybe with some rubber grommets on the bottom ones, maybe, because that's onto the tank, so we might put some rubber mounts. So I think, yeah, maybe a little brace across the bottom as well. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. So our first step will be, we've got these marked, we'll cut these so that these can be dropped in, and we'll probably just put a couple of tacks on it, I suppose, and I think that should work, yeah. And then we'll just, once this is tacked in, we can build all this other structure. We'll go from there. So I think that's the plan. It won't be too elaborate, but I think it should end up looking good. Then I think what we might do is paint this and all the inside. We might shoot some black paint around there maybe to neaten it up. Drop the radiator back in with the fan already mounted. Boom. 4 bolts, maybe 2 here as well. Boom, boom. And that should be pretty good. Dokely, that is what we have achieved. So we ended up making this little frame, so it's welded up the top here to this reinforcing piece, and it's welded down to the bottom, which is where this mounts to the, as you'd probably say, like your bottom rad support type piece. We also then welded a bit of flat bar onto this support and up into this reinforcing piece, so that is solid as anything. We've got this at the width of these nicely, so we've bolted them through with some M10 nylocks, and we welded a piece across the bottom here. Down, now the reason we've gone down there lower, as you can see, is to get this centered onto the flange there, as you can see. And I don't know if you can tell in there, but that's like a little piece of fuel hose. You get a piece of fuel hose in between, and it's like a little rubber mount. So that's like rubber mounted on the bottom, because this is our bottom tank. Not that this is, but I don't want this touching there, so I wanted a little rubber mount there. So we've rubber mounted that, and that is solid as anything. We've then used the spring loaded little mount clips to mount the thermo on. I think overall that looks pretty neat. And we just spritzed a bit of black paint in and around. So now what we'll do is and we kept the wiring down low to this side is what we decided to do, so that can head into the cab along there. So now I don't know, we have to check our hose sizes. I don't know if we may be the right sizes. We actually may be the right size, so that would be groovy. So that's ready now. I think we can we'll have a look. We could put that back on as per se. We might just do that to make sure that it all is clearing. So theoretically, the center now of the thermofan should be up here, and so it should all be missing. So we might just sit that on quickly to make sure it's okay. Then we'll probably rip it off, because we've got to do our exhaust manifold at some stage. So we will leave that off so we've got easy access in here. Now we have had some parts come in. We've got our front shocks. So these are lowered front shocks. They've actually come in, and they are... You ready for it? Oh, they're bright yellow. Well, they're not far off the gold. So anyway, we're not painting them. Boom, there's a bit of dodgy camera on. We got our oil filter come in, and we got our exhaust manifold gasket come in, so we can do that job. We've got our bits for our brake calipers to do that job. We can do our front shocks. Now, rear shockies. We got our new rear shocks here. I've bought a couple of bolts for the top, but these bottom bolts are actually they're a shoulder bolt. I actually found them. They're $50 to buy, but I think I found a set second hand for about 5 or 10 with a few other pieces we need. So I think we'll go get them next time we go out. So we won't be able to finish the rear shocks. We could potentially put them in, but I think we'll just wait. Won't worry about putting them in. I think that's us. So we might just put this on today and make sure it's all beautifuls. And that might do us today. We'll see how we feel. Plenty goods. Okay, so there's our set of extractors all done. As you can see, we welded the little flange piece on with a bit of a straight as long as we could, and we will work out from there back. We'll have another bolt-on flange, the female that will bolt onto that, and we'll go through we've got some pieces lying around, and we've got some other bits out there. The one I normally use I don't have. So basically what it is the Suzuki Swifts. I had hundreds and hundreds of them, and I had a whole heap of the exhausts that I kept, but the last few I haven't kept. I've just sent to scrap, and silly me, I'm now just about out of the piece I want. So it's a fairly straight piece, and it has like a little hot doggy type thing. And on the other two, this one and the other Bedford, the 2 6-cylinders, I've ran that only, and it's not a bad little note. I'm not going to make the exhaust yet because I'm not sure if I want it to come out and we have like a couple of stacks, or I'm not quite sure what I want to do, or if I want to bring it out the side, or I don't know how I want to do it, or if I just want to have a little hidden one underneath that stops behind the cab. So at this stage we're just doing this. So as you've seen, we chopped that up, welded that onto there. We actually welded cut a couple of 4 little pie cuts into this to hammer it in because it was the wrong size. Painted them in the black ceramic and put the little Genie badge back on in gold. So they're just sitting there drying. They're pretty much ready to go. So on that, we have to come back over to the front. We're going to have to pull the inlet manifold off, get a new gasket on, put the exhaust on, the extractors on, and then try to fish this in. It's a bit of a bear. We may have to break the engine mount and and hoist it up a little bit to get it in, because it is very, very tight on this side here. So that's that done. We've also grabbed one of our brake calipers, not this one, but this one, which we wire brushed up, completely tore it to pieces. So basically we took the line off, and then we took these two bolts here out, there and there, and then the two pieces break away from each other. Now there's these two rubber seals, and then there's two little pistony type things which were basically all seized up. So we tore all that apart, gave everything a wire brush and a clean and everything, and we re-greased the little slides. So in that one, they're all sliding beautiful. Put it all back together. It's as clean as we could get it. And we just shot some paint in it. And we also hit it with brake cleaner. We wire brushed it, hit it with brake cleaner. So that one there's done, just drying. And we'll put our new brake line on there. And we will put our new pads in and mount them. And there are the Gerlocks. I don't know if you can see that. The Gerlock calipers, which are very expensive from what I can see. The Gerlock calipers are worth a lot of money. Probably at least half of what we paid for the whole chassis motor combo. So yeah, I'm going to go inside and have a drink, have some lunch. We'll come back, we'll do that other caliper, and then we should be ready to put the exhaust on, and we'll go from there, ticking the jobs off. And hey, don't forget that we're going to release the budget where we're sitting at it a bit later on, so stick around for that. Oakley dokley. So there is the extractors and the inlet manifold all bolted up beautifully with the new gasket. The exhaust looks very good, and you can see, can you see it? Just hidden in there, that little gold thing up the top of your screen. That's that little badge. So anyway, and down in there, you can't see it, it's our flange anyway, but that looks pretty neat. I think that motor looks pretty cool now, with all the satin black pieces on. All the satin black pieces, the exhaust, now that's ceramic coated, so when that heats up it will bake on. And the gold and the black I think looks pretty trick. There'll be some more black hoses and paraphernalia to go on there. And we've got to address our carby, make sure that's going to fit. And also our air cleaner. We'll work out what we're going to do there. We'll probably just put something on to start with. And I'm going to try to come up with something a bit tricky.
Tricky. It's
Maybe something leading down the skull technique. See what I can get my little harebrained brain around. And well, you can't see now, but all the front end's done, our new orange shocks, and our brake calipers cleaned, painted, greased up, new pads, new brake lines, and new shocks in. So that's all, your front end is all buttoned up now. All we've got to do is run our hard brake line from side to side, but we'll do that once all our master and everything, brake booster, proportioning valve is all put in, then we'll do our brake lines. Okay, so we've got quite a bit done so far. I think in the morning we might do a couple of more jobs, but I think what we'll do now is we'll go inside and I'll write all the parts list and prices on the board, and we'll see where we are at with the budget. Okay, here we are, and have we blown it? Not quite, but we're getting there. Here it is. This is our Bedford here. This is all of our stuff we've bought so far. Now, this is only what we have bought, okay? There's parts and things that I had in stock, like the tyres I had, the rims I had, the rear stainless guards I did a swap with some coil packs for, but all of that stuff, it doesn't owe me any money anymore, so it is still all free. But you know, all the paint, none of that pricing's gone in, because look, you know, all the varnishes, none of that goes in. The bolts and hardware, I've got shelves and shelves and shelves full of that, so none of that stuff goes in. And this here, the stuff I have bought the cheapest possible that I could get, and then used, you know, I buy a lot of stuff off eBay and whatever, so I get discounts and all that. You know, you have coupons or whatever, you get 20% off and all this. So this is with all of that factored in. We are at $17.41 at the moment. So there we got the cab. We paid $300, but we sold the chassis for $250, remember? So there is still a couple of other things that can go into the minus column. So the original pedals, the original steering column, the side windows, and I think that's about all we've got left. I'll probably advertise them, see if we can get rid of them to try to generate something, because we are so close. At the moment, I think we nearly have everything that is needed, but we don't quite have it all. And at this stage, I've got $259 left. So at this stage, I may blow the budget by 100 or 200 at worst. But if we can sell those couple of pieces, we should be all right. So we've got everything: sound deadener, hubcaps, the extractors, master cylinder, and booster, and proportioning valve, the radiator, tail lights, everything. The little dog dishes, the blinkers. Now, we didn't include the headlights because they were a gift, or the bonnet emblem because they were a gift, but all the front end, etc. So we're at $17.41 at the moment. So we are still in budget, but we have a few things left. We have to buy a rear brake line. We've got to buy a wiring loom kit type thing. I think we need new engine mounts, and not much else. I think that's getting close to everything. Now, at this point, you know, we're going to be very close anyway. So anyway, I've had a gutful today. It's very humid. It's a bit cooler, but it's still horribly humid. So we've got quite a bit done, and we'll probably try to do a bit more tomorrow, and I will see you then. Okay, so we've just found a carby. It's actually the original carby, which did have gas running through it, but I found a plug that plugged up where the gas line went in. A rebuild kit is only $50, $60 or something if we need it. This carby may be okay. It was all sealed up, so it may be okay. We gave it a bit of a clean. So we've got that carby sitting on. We haven't done gaskets or anything as yet. We've just got it sitting on there for mock-up. And we did a air cleaner. Might need a bit more paint on it. It looks like as it's drying, flashing off, it's shrinking back. But that was just a rough for mock-up. So I think that's how we're going to run it. I think that will look okay. Now, later on, we may come up with something trick to do with the top. Now, I have heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of these type air cleaners, little rusty chrome ones. There's probably one or two decent ones, but we may try to do something. On the other Bedford, we used a helmet, and so I don't know. We'll see what we can come up with to try to make that top a bit unique. But I think as a overall look, it looks quite neat with our exhaust and black on there. Now, the other good thing is it now allows us to start trying to get our head around our accelerator cable. But we've got quite a lot done so far, haven't we? So we've done the rear shackles on the suspension. We did our skull valve caps, which, you know, just a little something different. We did our cool little skull handles. I think they look pretty good, don't they? We've stuck a steering column in. I think that's our steering column. I probably didn't tell you about that, but we did stick that steering column in, and with some modifications, I think we should be able to use that. That will be coming up. We've done all our front shocks and our brake calipers and flexi brake lines on the front. It's all finished now. Our beautiful looking radiator and thermofan is in and mounted. We made our extractors painted, installed, and all of that good stuff. So all in all, we got a little bit done. As you can see and hear, it is wet and rainy.
It's raining so hard, it's really coming down.
Now we've got a few things in the pipelines I'm working on, not to do with this, that hopefully if we can pull them off, we will bring to the channel, and they will be phenomenal. So we'll just see. That's all I'm going to say about it. We'll see if I can pull off the deal, and if I can, that will be something to look out for, I will assure you. Now we also went through our budget, and as you've seen, we were at $700 and I think $41 from memory. So we have still got a little bit in our budget left. So yes, like I said, we've got lots of little jobs done, and they're a little bit tedious, but it's all part of finishing off builds. There's going to be some tedious work to do, and we've still got some more of it. So with all that said, I'll say thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Swagger down the street with your red lips and funky beat. You better hold your head up to the sky. I'm gonna roll with you till the day I die.